So, let's talk about something incredibly important, and yet, honestly, mind-numbingly dull: insurance. Specifically, cyber insurance. It's like regular insurance, but for when the internet decides to punch your business in the face. Think of it this way: you have car insurance for when you crash your Toyota, and you have health insurance for when your body inexplicably betrays you. Cyber insurance is for when a teenager in a basement 1,000 miles away decides to lock up all your company's files and demand payment in a cryptocurrency you've never even heard of. It's a financial safety net designed to help a business survive the absolute chaos of a digital attack. Now you might be thinking, that sounds a bit dramatic. Do I really need that? And the answer is increasingly yes. Absolutely yes. In our glorious digital age, nearly every business, from a massive bank to a small-town bakery, relies on computers. Your customer lists, your financial records, your secret family recipes, it's all stored as ones and zeros. Cyber insurance is designed to cover the costs that come with those ones, and zeros suddenly being stolen, destroyed, or held for ransom. This can include everything from paying data recovery experts and notifying customers about a breach, to covering legal fees and even the ransom itself. It's a modern solution for a very modern and very expensive problem. The reason this is becoming a business essential is simple: the threats are no longer a distant possibility, they are a daily reality. The global cyber insurance market was valued at over $15 billion in 2023, and it's projected to explode to nearly $100 billion by 2032. That's not because insurers are just getting greedy, though let's be honest, that's always a factor. It's because the cost of cybercrime is skyrocketing, and businesses are scrambling to protect themselves from financial ruin. Without this coverage, a single well-aimed attack could be enough to completely shutter a company, leaving its owners with nothing but a very expensive, very useless pile of encrypted hard drives. So, what does this insurance actually do when disaster strikes? Well, imagine your company gets hit with a ransomware attack. Suddenly none of your computers work, and a scary message on the screen demands a fortune. Your first call should be to your insurer. They can connect you with cybersecurity experts who will investigate the breach, negotiate with the criminals, yes, really, and work to restore your systems. They also help manage the public relations nightmare, covering the costs of notifying your clients that their data may have been compromised. It's basically a crisis management team that you pay for in advance, hoping you'll never ever have to use them. The internet today is less of a utopian global village and more of a chaotic digital frontier, teeming with bandits. Cyber threats are not just growing, they are evolving, becoming more sophisticated and brazen every year. The primary culprits you hear about are ransomware and data breaches. Ransomware is digital extortion, pure and simple. Attackers encrypt a company's files, making them completely inaccessible, and then demand a hefty payment to unlock them. A 2021 report showed that 40% of healthcare organizations saw a rise in claims, mostly from these kinds of attacks. It's a devastatingly effective tactic that can bring a business to a complete standstill in minutes. Then you have data breaches, which are arguably even more sinister. This is when cybercriminals sneak into your network and steal sensitive information. Customer names, credit card numbers, employee social security numbers, you name it. The immediate financial hit might be less obvious than a ransom demand, but the long-term damage can be catastrophic. The stolen data is often sold on the dark web, leading to identity theft and fraud. For the business, the consequences include massive regulatory fines, lawsuits from affected customers, and a complete erosion of trust that can take years, if not a lifetime, to rebuild. It is, to put it mildly, a very bad day at the office. This escalating threat level is supercharged by our relentless push toward digital transformation. We love connecting everything to the internet: our phones, our refrigerators, our industrial control systems. This Internet of Things is incredibly convenient, but it also creates an ever-expanding number of digital doorways for criminals to kick in. Furthermore, new regulations like Europe's GDPR mean that companies aren't just morally obligated to protect data, they are legally required to. A failure to do so can result in fines worth millions of dollars. This combination of increased vulnerability and stricter laws is precisely why the demand for cyber insurance is through the roof. The industries getting hit the hardest are the ones with the most to lose. Healthcare is a prime target because patient records are incredibly valuable. The financial sector, BFSI, is another obvious one, holding vast sums of money and sensitive client data. But it's not just the big players. Retailers, manufacturers, and even small and medium-sized enterprises, SMEs, are now prime targets. In fact, a 2023 survey found that 70% of small businesses that suffered a breach said they wouldn't have recovered without their insurance policy. It's no longer a question of if a business will be targeted, but when. So, you've decided you need cyber insurance. Great. Now for the bad news, getting it is becoming a massive pain in the neck. As the number of attacks has soared, insurers have been paying out enormous claims, with loss ratios hitting over 66% in 2021. In response, they've done what any sensible business would do. They've made their product more expensive and much harder to get. Premiums are rising, coverage limits are shrinking, and the application process has transformed from a simple form into a full-blown security audit that can take up to 6 months to complete. It's the insurance equivalent of being asked to run a marathon just to prove you're healthy enough to buy a gym membership. To even be considered for a policy today, companies must demonstrate a robust security posture. Insurers are no longer just taking your word for it, they demand proof. Multi-factor authentication across all systems, advanced endpoint detection and response software, regular vulnerability scans, and crucially, secure offline backups of your data. If you don't have these, you can expect your application to be rejected outright. Insurers have realized that it's cheaper to force you to lock your doors than it is to pay for your stolen stuff. And you better not lie on your application, because insurers are checking. Technical misrepresentations are a leading cause of claim denials. In 2023, a staggering 44% of denied claims were because the company failed to meet the security standards they promised they had in their application. This is why it's critical for a company's IT and security teams to be deeply involved in the process. This isn't a form for the marketing department to fill out between coffee breaks. A single incorrect checkbox could render a multi-million-dollar policy completely worthless when you need it most. It's a high-stakes game of paperwork, and the house has every advantage. To make matters even more complicated, policies are now riddled with exclusions. One of the most significant is the exclusion for nation-state attacks. After insurers were forced to pay out massive claims like the $1.4 billion Merck settlement for the 2017 NotPetya attack, which was attributed to Russia, they started adding clauses that void coverage if an attack is linked to a government. This creates a huge gray area, as attributing an attack is notoriously difficult. So you could pay your premiums for years, get hit by a devastating attack, and have your claim denied because the insurer decides it was an act of war. It's a frustrating catch-22 in an already infuriating situation. Despite the rising costs and frustrating hurdles, the reality is that for most businesses, cyber insurance is no longer optional. It has become a fundamental component of modern risk management, sitting right alongside liability and property insurance. The financial and operational devastation that a single cyber attack can inflict is simply too great to ignore. Without a policy, a business is left to face the full cost of incident response, business interruption, regulatory fines, and legal battles on its own. For many, that's a knockout blow. Insurance provides the capital and resources needed to get back on your feet and survive to fight another day. The market is responding to this need, even if it's doing so with gritted teeth. While North America currently holds the largest market share due to its high volume of attacks and strict laws, the fastest-growing region is Asia-Pacific, where rapid digitalization is creating new vulnerabilities daily. Insurers are also beginning to offer more tailored products. After years of focusing on large corporations, companies like Zurich are now launching policies designed specifically for SMEs, which are often the least prepared for an attack. This is a critical development, as a cyber event can be an extinction-level event for a small business. Ultimately, the rise of cyber insurance is a direct reflection of the world we've built. We've created a deeply interconnected global economy that runs on data, but we've failed to make it secure. The insurance industry, for all its flaws, is simply stepping in to price that risk. The strict underwriting requirements, while annoying, are also having a positive side effect. They are forcing companies to improve their baseline security. To get coverage, you have to get better at protecting yourself, which is a win for everyone, except of course, the cyber criminals. It's a forced march toward better digital hygiene. In the end, think of cyber insurance as a seatbelt. You put it on every day, and most of the time it does nothing but wrinkle your shirt. It's uncomfortable and a bit of a hassle. But on that one day, when everything goes horribly wrong, you'll be incredibly glad it's there. In the digital world of 2025, where threats lurk around every corner, navigating the landscape without that protection isn't brave, it's reckless. Cyber insurance is the necessary, expensive, and complicated cost of doing business on the modern internet. And unfortunately, that's just the way it is. Follow and subscribe Red Eagle Box.